The sport of chariot racing was so popular in ancient Greece and Rome that the streets would be deserted when a race was on. The earliest written mention of chariot racing is in Homer's Iliad. The races were the primary event of the earliest Olympic Games, as well as many Greek and Roman festivals. Two armor-clad horsemen would face each other at the ends of a field, charging at one another with lances leveled. As they sped past each other, each opponent would attempt to either knock his rival from his horse or break his shield. The charges would continue up and down the field until one opponent claimed victory. An alternative tilt would see horsemen speeding toward a metal ring, through which they had to spear their lance. Board track racing was a popular U.S. motorsport during the earlier parts of the 20th century. Motorcycle racers sped around circular wooden tracks, which were banked similar to modern-day velodromes. These motordromes were eventually modified to accommodate early automobile racing. Board track racing was a highly dangerous sport, with motordromes eventually dubbed murderdromes in some newspapers. Teams of 10 to 15 players would face each other while a ball was thrown into the air. A player would catch the ball, running through opponents and shielded by his team to carry the ball to his goal. Just like modern-day football, the odd scuffle between opposing teams and supporters was not uncommon. Roman sports enthusiasts would flock to watch a good bout of naumachia. Purpose-built ships were placed in a water-filled arena and manned with crewmen who would simulate a sea battle. The willing participants were often prisoners or slaves who had little option but to fight. The ships were often manned by convicts who battled to the death in a flooded amphitheater for the entertainment of onlookers. Club swinging originated in India as a means of developing strength and mobility in soldiers. The British Army incorporated club swinging into their physical exercise routines, and colonists brought the ancient Indian exercise clubs home. Club swinging became popular with men and ladies alike during the Victorian era. Gymnasiums were established specifically for the sport. It's not hard to see why the cruel blood sport of fox tossing has disappeared into the history books. Fox tossing was a popular sport among European nobility during the 17th and 18th centuries. Caged foxes, or other animals, would be released into an arena, running across slings laid across the ground. Two teammates would be waiting on either end of the sling, quickly capturing the wild animals and flinging them high into the air. Natalaika was an ancient Nordic sport enjoyed by the Vikings, thought to be similar to modern-day lacrosse. Players used sticks and their hands to hit a hard wooden ball toward a goal. Physical body contact was highly encouraged and was part of the overall objective of the game. Aside from chasing your opponent, it was acceptable to hit your rival with a stick and wrestle him to the ground. The game had mythical and spiritual significance to the Maya, with large stone courts often a focal point in city sacred centers. Players aimed to pass the ball through one of three large stone rings set on either side of the court without using their hands. The Great Ball Court at Chichen Itza has rings set at 8 meters. Passing a ball through these rings would have been no small feat. Pankration was one of the most popular sports of the early Olympics and was first introduced into the Olympic Games in 648 BC. Ancient Greeks considered the sport a demonstration of strength and technique. Pankration was a somewhat bizarre combination of boxing and wrestling. The only rules were no biting and no gouging the eyes, nose, or mouth.